good or it's bad. I am saying from the day that it was done and the day after, once I returned home, I was asked questions about the procedure and the process. And I had had a polygraph done once before, back in the 80s. And I specifically instructed the examiner, I knew darn well you didn't put the blood pressure cup and the whatever on the fingertips on the same hands. And he was advised of the nerve damage and the fact of the circulation, and I have bilateral ulnar nerve entrapment in both arms. All right. I can't tell you how they did it. I will tell you that his report from Dr. Gelb to the report to Dr. Bartlett completely contradict each other. The information from Dr. Gelb, who is not a doctor at all, was never sent in totality to Mr. Bartlett. I cannot tell you. I'm telling you that this gentleman with antipolygraph.org, these are his opinions, these are his findings, these are not mine. Okay. I have said all along that the polygraph, I did not feel comfortable with the way it was done.
A couple of questions. First of all, given that you've got this record in the past of taking so many drugs yourself, why do you care whether he's taken it? And secondly, he seems like quite an interesting person to spend a couple of days with. Between the fellatio and the drug taking, what did you talk about?
I'm sorry?
Between the fellatio and the drug taking, what did you chat about?
Actually, pretty much nothing, other than the fact of what I was doing for a living, what I was doing in Chicago. Like I said, the entire conversations that we had were pretty basic and casual. His comments as far as what he did for a living, he never once acknowledged being a politician. In fact, he specifically stated he was in public service. You know, with my view, public service can mean just about anything. What was the other part of the question?
Why do you care so much?
Why do I care? I care so much because this political season has turned, you know, this country upside down. To be honest with you, we have gone back, I would say, a good 50 years in this country on race relations alone over being called racist if you ask a candidate who chose to run for president. I'm not sure if you remember, but this country had a very nice lady in the state of New York by the name of Shirley Chisholm that once sought the nomination of the Democratic Party. And this was back, I think, in the late 60s, early 70s. And here was a true African American who you could ask her questions based on her record, on her credentials, on her beliefs, and you would have never been called racist. Today, you know, I'm speaking the truth about his own actions. You know, these aren't mine. I'm not running for office. And now all of a sudden you're called racist or bigot? I'm sorry, that's why I care. You have to face the facts. Somebody's going to have to ask him, or are you going to wait until, you know, the election's over and then start vetting your presidential candidates?
Simply why you decided to take this on, and it's been reported that you've been disbarred in the state of Florida. I'm wondering if you're a part of the bar in D.C.
I'm happy to answer those questions as I expected they would come up. I have been suspended by the Florida Supreme Court on March 7th, 2008, and the suspension was a result of me being too litigious and allegedly not paying child support. That matter is now pending at the United States Supreme Court. But as a result, I have been reciprocally suspended by the District of Columbia Bar and the Federal District Court in the District of Columbia without an opportunity for a hearing or an opportunity to present my side of that story. There is on the website 147 pages which documents what's going on in my particular professional life, and it really isn't the subject of what's going on here today. But if you're curious, you know, it's a good read, and I encourage you to read it.
Is it fair for me to inquire about the kilt also?
You certainly can. I know it may seem odd to you, but I don't know why men wear pants. But I think it's a function of male genitalia size, and if you're normal to small, pants probably aren't uncomfortable. But those of us at the other end of the spectrum find them very binding.
Excuse me, can I say something on your question to the kilt? Actually, I asked him to wear a suit and tie, and he says, "Why should he be uncomfortable?" And I said, "Because you're paid to be uncomfortable. Look at me."
A little more seriously, though. I mean, it's just, I mean, at a very human level here, it's obviously you have tremendous credibility problems, including fraud and deceit. There are questions about you. it's very hard, I think, for probably some of us in the audience to take this whole situation seriously. So the question again is, why are you doing this, and how can you expect us to take this seriously?
I'm glad you asked that, and I'm going to tell you how I expect you to take it seriously. I expect you to ask me questions, and I expect you to do your job and actually find facts as opposed to looking at Daily Kos or Fire Dog Lake or Huffington Post or all of these pro-Obama sites that are putting and twisting. Sir, I have not hidden from anything I have ever done in my life. Never. You can go back to the judges in any one of my cases, and they will tell you I have never wasted a taxpayer dime on a trial or even a preliminary hearing. If I did it and I got caught, I said I did it, okay? And I understand you asking about my credibility. You know what? My crimes were 20-some-odd years ago, with the exception of the alleged crime in 2001, which I have not ran from, even though I'm being portrayed as hiding and running. I'm not, okay? That's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to actually get facts and then make your decision, rather than fake Washington Post articles saying that I've been investigated 8 times over 25 years for blackmail against politicians, which is not true, but yet you're continuing to repeat it over and over again. Even though it's been proven not to be true, it doesn't matter. It's what is continuously being recycled out there. As long as you tell the truth, which I'm doing, you can talk about anything about my past that you want to. It doesn't bother me. I admit to it. You know, you can't live your life and then run and hide from it later. It doesn't work that way.
Well, you say you want us to get facts, but most of what you're alleging is difficult to corroborate. I mean, would the limo driver have witnessed the crack smoking and the fellatio, or were you and Obama the only people?
Mr. Mutani actually does have personal knowledge of the actions and the transactions that took place in the limo. Let me explain something to you. I was actually in contact with Mr. Mutani in the first part of this year. Since posting the YouTube video and the vicious attacks on the internet and the allegations that are constantly circulating out there that nobody bothered to fact check before they continue to post them, this driver has decided, and his family's decided, it's like all of a sudden they want to, disappear. It's my understanding that Mr. Mutani's family was in Tupelo, Mississippi, as recently as 3 weeks ago. I do know that there were public records at one time, and where those public records have disappeared in a couple of weeks, because we had a private investigator down there actually going through public records that were verified just 2 months ago, and now all of a sudden they're not there. There's...
A few questions. One, would you make all of your financial records available to the public and to reporters? I mean, I guess a lot of us probably feel suspicious of the way you finance a National Press Club event, the way you pay for a private investigator to go to Tupelo, Mississippi.
I have no problem with that whatsoever in posting my financial records.
And a follow-up question. The Veritas Media Group, I understand that Joseph Giganti has disclaimed any connection.
Okay.
But it seems awfully odd that he would be, the spokesperson for Alan Keyes' political campaign, that your organization would be called Veritas. It sounds awfully like a red herring, or what are your comments on that?
The name was just, to my knowledge, the name was just drawn out of a hat. This is not something that was done. First of all, Mr. Giganti, as far as I know, has no connections with me. I've never met the man. I've never had any communications with him whatsoever. And he definitely does not finance me. And he has not financed this event. Okay. In fact, this event has been financed completely through contributions to PayPal, and I will most definitely post those contributions without the giver's name, of course.
Why without the giver's name?
Because would you ask me to expose individual citizens of this country that contribute $25 here or $50 there? I mean, the maximum contribution that's been, there's been one contribution of $1,000, and everything else is $500 or below.